Thank you very much for this opportunity. Just before I call my panelists, just to set the tone, I'll just go through some key points that GLL would like to share. Once again, thank you to the organizers for inviting GLL and to the wonderful panelists that you will soon be seeing for honoring the invitation, as well as to you, the audience. It's been a very insightful discussion so far. So, you know, Africa has less than 1% of the world hotel supply. However, you know, with Africa's strong economic and economic growth and maturity, we believe in GLL that this number continues to increase and move upwards. However, as we all know, with everything Africa, or most things Africa, it is not without its challenges, and these challenges are obviously developmental costs, the imbalance between supply and demand, as well as simple regulatory issues such as ease of obtaining travel visas. We have FX issues and inflation. All of this, you know, kind of hinder the growth, but nonetheless, we are still experiencing this growth, as you've heard from Alan, and obviously there's more to come. Brands particularly have a very important role to play in the investment and development stage. And good enough, we're seeing operators who are focusing more on lifestyle and mid-scale brands, which is very encouraging for our market. Other factors include flexibility, delivering on quality, as well as proper governance, which all will help move this percentage upwards. Of course, stakeholders like the banks, the public sector, regional and local investors all look to these brands because of their credibility, because of their positions in these markets. Nonetheless, in saying that, markets that have the right mix, the right balance of source markets that have depth in multiple properties, as well as strategic source market overlapping, also still experience focus from these brands. But I would just like to stop there and give an opportunity to my panelists to come up. So I'd like to call on Craig, Damilola, as well as Ivan, to please come up and join me. Thank you. Thank you very much, my panelists. I'll just give you a chance to do your introductions, as well as talk about your brand very briefly, as well as the role you play. Ivan, I'm sure I'm not getting that right, and you did try to teach me, so please teach me again, educate me on how to pronounce your name. All right.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Dami Adipoju. I work for Marriott International. We're a global hotel operator with over 8,000 rooms around the world. About 8 hotels currently operating in Nigeria, over 2,000 rooms. And I sit in Lagos. I cover our development activities for West Africa.
Hi everybody. My name is Herman Garnier. I'm in charge of the expansion of Radisson Hotel Group in West and Central Africa. So Radisson has around 30 hotels in the region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, if you just speak louder, I understand that who's at the back. The mics are into good, so just try and push it as much as you can for everyone, please.
We do.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so sorry, I'm so sorry, please go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Craig Erasmus. I'm from Accor, based in Johannesburg. I oversee our operations for Sub-Saharan Africa. Accor operates roughly 50 hotels in Sub-Saharan Africa, 21 of which are in West Africa.
Thank you very much. So, just going straight into the questions and talking about the hospitality sector in terms of West Africa post-COVID. So, West African markets have done very well in terms of hotel performance, even more than the rest of the continent, as we heard from Alan in the earlier presentation. This has mostly been based on domestic travel as opposed to international travel, and Nigeria continues to be very resilient in the sense that it's now reached its pre-COVID position and even exceeded it, as Alan had mentioned earlier, even from June 2022. So things are really picking up and really looking good for Nigeria. So I'd just like to go straight to Damilola, please. Damilola, the 250 key Marriott Hotel opened up in May of 2021 during travel bans and COVID restrictions and all of that. How did your team manage to open your doors, even with the uncertainties that were going on in the market at that time?
Thank you, Susan. I'll start that by saying that for us it was very important to have the opportunity to plant our flagship brand in a market that is very important to us and to our strategic growth in the region. And it was an opportunity to showcase the latest versions of Marriott Hotels as a brand in the region and in Nigeria. It wasn't an easy feat, of course, and there were so many challenges at the time. But with ownership like McFarley, who remained committed to sticking to timelines, it was definitely an all-round effort from the operator, from the owner, and from the local ground staff, making sure that timelines were stuck to. And as you can see, it's been a success. The hotel is performing way above expectations now, and it's showcased to owners the resilience of the market and the opportunities for growth in Nigeria in particular.
So it was very important for Marriott to see the dream come to reality,
yes,
irrespective of what was going on.
Yes.
Thank you, Daniela. So, Evan, I'll just go straight to you now. Radisson has nearly 100 hotels and about 16,000 rooms in operation around Africa and in development. Earlier this year, your team exceeded its half-year target and actually surpassed that target within Africa through the new openings and new market entries across the business and leisure lines. Now, what has been the key to your team's ability to grow the brand, even though there has been so much uncertainties throughout the market as well?
Thank you, Susan. So, yes, Radisson has the target to achieve 150 hotels by 2025. So it's about 50% growth in the next 3 years. And in the past 2 years, we opened 16 hotels and we signed 25 hotels. So we achieved this result by having a very clear expansion plan. So we have targeted key market in Africa and in West Africa where we focus our efforts. So for example, Nigeria is a key market for West Africa, as well as Ivory Coast and Senegal. And then inside the market, we have pointed out exactly the city where we want to expand and with which brand we want to expand as well. So we focus our effort very clearly. Secondly, we have allocated a team that covers the continent in different locations. So from Dubai, from Cape Town, from Europe, allowing us to accelerate the time to market because the continent is huge. Thirdly, we have also created a strategy because out of experience, since we are on the continent since 2000, we understand that developing and opening a hotel is a challenge for everybody, all players. So we have created a plan which focuses on conversions, which allows us to have a time to market that is faster. As correctly said earlier, a hotel to plan and to build and to open in Africa West Africa takes minimum 4 years. But if you look at conversions, it can take up to 6 months. So if you look at the properties we have recently taken over in Lagos, it was conversion, existing property. So it was, so time to market was faster. So if you look at the number of properties that we have opened in the past 2 years, 50% are conversion, and there is no hazard. It's because we've really been focusing on this. And in fact, the target in the next 3 years is to increase that to 70% because we see there is opportunity. Obviously, there is a challenge, technical challenge, in order to ensure that, as correctly said earlier, fire life safety and all the basic of international standards are being covered. But if you look at the fundamental and if it's done properly, there is a huge advantage in looking at this opportunity. So these are, in a nutshell, what we've been doing.
Fantastic.
Thank
So
you.
from what I hear from you, the secret has been focus and dedication to your expansion plan, your team, and then conversions. Conversions have been your focus.
Correct.
Good. Good. So I'll come down to you, Craig. Accor has had some very interesting news in the region with recent signings of 2 properties, one in Senegal and the other I'll leave to you to disclose. These opportunities have come at a time when development costs have skyrocketed, as we just heard from the last panel as well, from an operational point of view. How has this benefited Accor in expanding its footprints in the region and avoiding developmental delays?
So it's a really good question. We sit with a pipeline in West Africa around about 17 hotels, and we are now seeing the impact of COVID and obviously the issue around rising development costs, which have been covered extensively. So our pipeline is going to be pushed out. That's unfortunately a reality. We are very fortunate in that we have Casada, and Casada is effectively delivering an instant network for us in Sub-Saharan Africa. They've delivered 3 hotels for us this year. We're most likely more than 5 next year, and that really is allowing us to grow at a time where there are not a lot of operators growing in the region. To go back a step in terms of why it's important is in the last 3-4 months, we've really seen costs grow exponentially, and top line in the hotels is not growing at the same rate, and this trend is going to continue into next year. It's made actually worse by the fact that through COVID, we obviously cut costs and we rationalized the operations far beyond what was normal. And we're probably never going to go back to the levels we operated hotels at pre-COVID, but we certainly need to increase costs. We need to increase staff. We need to increase everything together with demand, because especially here in Nigeria, we are back at levels in excess of where we were pre-COVID. So we sit with almost a double whammy happening at the moment, in that we have this massive inflation together with the need to increase costs at a hotel level because we're trying to still ramp up from where we were through COVID. And to get back to your original question, the only way for us really to manage that is through scale. The more hotels we have, the more opportunity there is to cluster staff and resources, more economies of scale in terms of procurement and other aspects in the hotel. So it's a hugely important part in terms of how we try and manage effectively GOP and returns for our owners going forward.
Thank you, Craig. So from you, it's having the right partner and then scaling up as well, to help reach that developmental cost issue. Thank you. And I note that you did not reveal anything, but you will all hear about it soon, I'm sure.
Worst kept secret in Lagos.
So I'm just moving on to the next question. In my opening statement, I've spoken about depth of properties and diversification of source market. So I'd just like to go straight to you, Evan, and ask, where do you see the new opportunities for new hotel developments or conversion projects, as you mentioned, in the region? And how is Radisson working with first-time hotel investors to bring these properties to life?
Thank you, Susan. Where we see opportunities is obviously where there is either untapped market, so where you see financial hub and capital cities where there is no international brand either on different positioning, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. But also, hi, 1, 2, yeah. Okay, sorry guys. I was saying, this is a loud one, huh? You hear me well now? Huh? All right, I'm not gonna sing, I'm just gonna talk, okay? I was saying that the focus is either to look at untapped market or to look at opportunities in existing market. If you look at Nigeria, you can see that a lot of the developments that we see in Lagos or Abuja are focusing on the upper upscale segment, mainly 5-star or 4-star, and there is a massive room for opportunities in the mid-scale segment, whether it's in Lagos, Abuja, or capital state cities. And you can apply that mainly in the different markets where we're focusing our expansion. So what I'm trying to say is our strategy will be to go in capital cities or financial hub where we already have a hotel and look at complementary positioning, whether it's going to be business hotel, serviced apartments, resorts, any different type of positioning, as I said earlier, from 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. So, and I already explained our strategy in West Africa was for Nigeria, Ivory Coast and Senegal as a key focus. Now, what do we do for our first-timer owners is guidance, education. You know, 85% of our owners are first-time owners, which is very different if you look at markets that are more mature, such as Europe or US. So our role is to ensure that they understand what they're getting into, which means that we explain them from the beginning what are the fundamentals and how the key and the importance of having a professional team that is qualified and experienced in the market that they're getting, and getting step by step into the process of hotel development, identifying the location, understanding the market segments, and understanding what kind of budget, costing, and professional team that we need to be involved in order to kickstart the project. So it's a long educational process, but if done well, it can be very successful for both parties.
Thank you very much, Evan. And from what I hear, what I understood from what you said is there is a lot of hand-holding for first-time hotel owners, but you do that, you're ready to do that, and you continue to do that. And then your focus again remains Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and Senegal, which isn't a surprise actually. If we were in the earlier sessions and we saw, the data that was shared, those actually are the leaders in terms of countries in West Africa. So glad to hear that. So I'll just go straight to Craig as well. There's been a lot of talk on how to diversify the product offerings brands have. And Accor recently made some key acquisitions in the lifestyle segments with SBE and Ennismore. Which markets do you believe would suit these products the most in our markets?
So I think Accor now has over 40 brands, so we're certainly diversifying. And I think we're going through an exercise at the moment in trying to focus how we do that. So for example, you spoke of Lifestyle. Lifestyle for us is housed under Ennismore, run out of London. It's effectively a standalone hotel operation under Accor. And the reason is really to be as authentic as possible. Most of the founders are still involved in their respective brands, and I can discuss with any of you after the panel about how our team believe that even a financial controller in a hotel, a lifestyle financial controller is different to a normal financial controller. But in terms of lifestyle in West Africa, I think Lagos is a great opportunity. I think Abidjan, Dakar, and Accra as well are all absolutely ready for lifestyle. But following on from what Owen said, I think 10% of the supply into this region is economy and mid-scale. The rest is luxury and upscale. And I'm not for a second saying there's not space for more luxury and upscale into this region. But really the region is crying out for good economy, good mid-scale, and as an extension to that, good lifestyle as well.
Fantastic. So we should be seeing some mid-scale lifestyle, hotels coming up from you in the near future.
So I think no, well, yes and no. I think the way we've structured lifestyle is that we can, for example, if you spoke of SBE, we acquired through that a number of F&B outlets or F&B brands, and I think what you'll see first is us slotting in those lifestyle brands into mid-scale, upscale, and luxury hotels first, with actual lifestyle hotels to follow that.
Thank you. Okay, so Damilola, you're based here in Nigeria, and you run the Marriott Development Opportunity in West Africa. Marriott currently has several properties in Lagos, Abuja, and Benin City. What cities in Nigeria are ripe for growth, in your opinion? Have there been any markets, primary or secondary, that your team has been eyeing for expansion? Now, don't share any trade secrets, but please feel free to share if you so wish.
Sure. I think between the three of us operators here, we all know that the opportunities in the upper mid-scale, upscale segments where you would traditionally have 3-star, 4 stars. We have operations in Lagos, Abuja, Benin City, and Owerri. So we're quite versed in primary and secondary markets. In a city like Lagos, where traditionally the hotel stock has been in Ikeja, in VI, Ikoyi, and increasingly in the future, the Lekki axis, I think we're going to see more opportunity, particularly in the mid-scale segment in other areas that haven't been developed in Lagos, so Maryland, Yaba, and there are specific industries driving that growth. It's the digital markets, the digital industries, the tech wave that's happening in the country, and we're seeing that taking into other secondary markets, Ibadan, Ilorin, Onsuka, all of those markets that have universities, where a lot of the manpower to drive this industry is coming from. So we're certainly following the trends from Lagos, and being here makes me close to the ground. So I'm seeing all of these opportunities, like Aaron says, in all of the state capitals, especially where there is no international brand. There's certainly an opportunity for us to put our Protea brand. That's a brand that's well known in the market. The market knows it, it knows the market. It operates at a price point that works in secondary markets. 4 points, for instance, as well. That's for us, it's upscale, so 3.5, 4-star, very flexible, depending on the local market. But Erwan and I were on a panel a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about domestic markets. I think that's where a lot of the growth, a lot of the sustainable growth in Nigeria, in West Africa, is going to come from. We've seen how much more dominant the domestic market in terms of demand is in these markets, and I think it's going to play on in the medium and long term. So what we need to do with our partnerships with owners is to build hotels that work for these markets, that work for domestic market price points, whether it's state governments, whether it's government agencies, the MICE markets, people having events, meetings, national meetings, regional meetings in other cities beyond Lagos. There's a lot of opportunity there. Conversion to is a bit more challenging if it's not on a property that was purpose-built to international standards, but we are working internally to be more flexible when we're dealing with these kind of properties, depending on the opportunity. And I think that's also leading into the opportunity for franchising. That was talked about in the panel before. I think there's an opportunity there to engage local operators. This is a growing market, but the first brand that opened in Nigeria was in 1983, and it's been powered by local manpower. And there's a lot of talent there that's worked in international brands and know how to operate international hotels with the guidance of the operator. And so that's also an area that we're also looking to as an opportunity for growth. This year we've signed almost 800. We're going to sign almost 800 almost 600 rooms. Franchise deals, which is a change for us, where we've mostly been coming in as managers, but we're now open, especially as we're discussing Protea, our upscale brands, our mid-scale brands, upper mid-scale brands, to open up the opportunity for owners to operate themselves or get local third-party managers to operate for them, and that's I think going to be a big driver for growth as we continue to expand in the country and in the region.
Fantastic. And the strategy to move into the secondary markets, at least mid-scale, I would expect mid-scale brands, mid-scale opportunities.
Yeah, so for us, we have currently upper mid-scale. That's what we term a brand like Protea. For us, that's upper mid-scale. We have a brand that we're introducing to Africa called Fairfield by Marriott. That's also upper mid-scale, 3-star price point, very similar to Protea. But I think in the near future we will have mid-scale brands. But for now, we're focusing on that tier, on that segment.
And in the rest of Africa, what are the plans?
Outside of West Africa or
outside of West Africa?
Yeah, same in East Africa. We're seeing a lot of growth in resorts and lodging. We just signed a lodge in Kenya last year, and we're seeing a lot of excitement in that segment for us. We're growing in premium. That will always be a core area of growth with our flagship brands like Marriott and Sheraton, but we're also seeing opportunities in other tiers.
Thank you very much, Daniela. And just finally, as we go around with final thoughts and closing remarks, just one more question for each of you. And how do you see technology playing a role in your expansion plans and the market opportunities that you see? So I'll start with Craig, please.
Sure. I think, technology is obviously playing more and more important role. I think I will use a very specific argument, or not argument, example. I think one of the barriers to a lot of owners going with a bigger brand are our IT requirements, and specifically our PMS requirements. I think where Core is doing a lot of work there is we now have an in-house PMS, which is actually offered on almost a pay-as-you-go type basis that can effectively be turned on in a matter of weeks, which really is an example how we're fast-tracking a lot of these takeovers.
Closing remarks from you? Anything else?
I think it's a really exciting time for the hotel sector. I think for the first time hotels are being looked at as a exciting asset class, and I think that's going to open up a lot of opportunities along in this continent.
And Evan, closing remarks on how you see technology playing a role in your expansion plans and in the market opportunities.
Technology is being more and more key for any hotel group, including Radisson. So recently, right before COVID, the group decided to invest drastically into IT, revenue management, and all the different tools in order to accelerate our performance in the market and be more competitive. So our shareholder invested $200 million just for IT acceleration. So we're a firm believer in it because this is price of the game in order to lead the game. So this is our position for IT. And the second question was?
Just your closing remarks.
My closing remarks is thank you for listening. Thank you guys.
Thank you. And Damilola?
My closing remarks?
Yes, and how you see technology playing a role in seizing the market opportunities.
Yeah, I think technology will always be at the forefront of our operations. I think it's kind of like a standard now. Your hotel has to be IT ready to serve the guests of today. We're making it more easy for guests to find us online, to book our hotels from apps, to integrate technology in the guest experience while they're at the hotel and even when they leave. So we're always going to put it at the forefront at the operational level. And thanks to all for listening. I'm available if you want to talk to me about growth in Nigeria and West Africa.
Thank you very much to our panelists. As Damilola said, they will be available after this to take any more questions. But maybe we have some time to ask one or two questions from the audience. Any questions, please? Yes, please. Is there an extra microphone for her? Evan, make sure you come back, please.
He's trying to run away from it. So being pretty young, obviously, I hear you speaking about technology and you're speaking about it from a commercial perspective on the back end of the hotel. But what about, you spoke about guest experience, yes, but I mean, social media is quite big, and I think hotels are trying to really integrate it and to really make use of it, but I think it's quite understated, if I can,
Okay. So, Craig, do you want to go first with that question? Social media?
No, I don't. I would love the other two to take that. And Intami saying works for a call, so she can ask the question afterwards.
Okay, so Evan, social media, how does it help with technology and guest, just performance in terms of your hotel and the role it actually plays?
Social media, we're not using it enough. That's a point of view. I think we're using it too much personally. But on a professional level, we're right at the beginning of that channel of distribution. So you're seeing just the verge of the use of social medias in order for hotels to be commercialized and distributed. So over time it will be used more and more. Remember, 5 years ago you didn't even have a social media manager in any hotel. And most of the hotels now have some kind of media manager taking care of the image on the social media. So it's a completely new media, and with all due respect, hospitality business is not the most innovative in the industry. It's an industry that follows more than leads. So it's taking a bit of time, but I think it's getting more and more important for any hotel group. And if you even see an independent hotel, you see that they have a strong strategy for the social media. It's just taking a bit of time. We need to be a bit patient. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Damilola? Yes, you have the mic. Final words on social
media. And I think for authentic social media engagement, it has to be driven by the consumer. There's a lot that the operators and hotel owners are doing to have a presence on Facebook and all the other social media platforms, but I think on the consumer end, that's when it really drives true meaningful engagement, and I think that happens naturally. It's a part of the process. You're checking into a hotel. If it's Instagram worthy, you're Instagramming it. You're putting it on your social media, and you're driving word of mouth marketing for the hotel just very organically. So yes, we do tend to be more reactive in the industry and not in the forefront of the technological wave, but I think we are allowing guests to drive that, especially at the experiential level, at the hotels.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think I agree with that. It should be driven by the customers as opposed to the operators. Thank you very much to my panelists. It's been a very insightful session. A round of applause for them. Thank you.
Thank you for that excellent panel, Suzanne.